Yo, it's Crow. And yeah, Amber Heard got slapped down again by a judge. Judge Penny Azcarurate. Oh, God, I'm saying that terribly wrong. Ruled that Amber Heard cannot wait until receiving an adverse verdict to object for the first time on an issue known since the beginning of trial. Yeah, actually, I saw a few people talking about this. So I mean, originally when the story came out, it sounded kind of absurd that they were claiming that there was like this fraudulent juror. When the details came out, though, when the actual evidence that was being presented in court came out, it was like they knew about the issue with the person's date of birth from the very beginning. One thing that you have to do before you kind of like start moving forward with your case is they get to pick and choose who's going to be on the jury by doing something called voir dire, where they interview, they make sure there are no issues. At least in the state of Virginia, it is up to the attorneys for both parties to figure this out. And again, the actual issue here is that the person who was called for jury duty has the exact same name and lives at the exact same address. It is a father and son. The father is born in 45, the son is born in the 70s. And I mean, we know why it happened, right? Like this is very easy to understand and explain. And it was also pointed out that this idea that he would, sneak on to the jury just specifically to tank Amber Heard doesn't really wash when, they get the summons prior to even knowing what they're going to be serving on, right? When you get a summons for jury duty, it doesn't say the name of the case on the jury summons. You actually have to go into the court. So, it would be one thing if the father showed up at first and then the son came in. But again, nothing like that went down. Anyways, let's check out this article because this whole thing has just been funny. Amber Heard's request for a mistrial in Johnny Depp's defamation case against his ex-wife has been dismissed by the judge. Last week, Heard's legal team claimed that the actress, 36, is entitled to a mistrial based on newly discovered facts and information that one of the jurors present for the entire trial was not the one actually summoned for jury duty. I'm sorry to laugh. It's just I remember because you always see the hashtag Stand with Amber Heard accounts out there, and they were like slam dunk, high fiving each other, thinking, "Oh, we fucking got him this time." And I was saying, like, can you imagine if this actually works? People are going to be fucking outraged. But I think we all knew it was a long shot, and they were grasping at straws. So yeah, sucks to be them. Sucks to suck. Let's see. They said the person summoned was 77 at the time, but a 52-year-old with the same last name and address, same first name too, instead showed up and was seated. Her side said it is deeply troubling for an individual not summoned for jury duty, nonetheless to appear for jury duty to serve on a jury, especially given the high-profile nature of the trial, where the fact and date of the jury trial were highly publicized prior to and after the issuance of the jury summons. Okay, so this is what I mean about being dishonest. Yes, this trial was highly publicized, but at the same time, the jury summons makes no reference to the trial. You could have been, on jury duty over like a parking violation or something, something like really dumb. It was a bullshit argument. Heard's lawyers said she was not given the proper due process, so she requested a mistrial and a new trial ordered. Her ex-husband's legal team fired back on Monday, insisting the verdict stand and reiterated their evidence about the alleged juror mix-up. Depp's team said Heard's desperate after the fact demand for investigation of Juror 15 based on purported error in his birth date is misplaced. They argued that she has failed to identify any way that the juror mix-up would have somehow robbed her of due process and clarified that the juror was vetted just as all other jurors were. Actually, when they say, being somehow robbed of due process, her legal team did come up with a theory, but the theory is the one that they've been like spamming out to people, which is that the jury is heavily biased, that the jury cannot be trusted, that the jury looked at everything online and that's how they came to their decision. So obviously this guy, because he's just such an obsessive Johnny Depp fan, even though she doesn't actually show anything for that, he must have planned it all out and snuck onto this jury specifically for the purpose of tanking her trial. It's incredibly dumb. And actually, I think one of the articles from like a pro Amber Heard outlet called the juror like somebody that sided with Johnny Depp, and I'm like, you mean the entire jury? Because in Virginia they all have to agree. Like it was the dumbest framing that I could possibly find. All right. Now, in a ruling on Wednesday, Judge who presided over the Virginia defamation trial held in Fairfax County Circuit Court, denied Heard's post-trial motions and said there is no evidence of fraud or wrongdoing among the jury. In the court documents posted by Law and Crime Network, I honestly have no clue how to say her last name, said the juror in question never lied on his forms and, like the rest of the jurors, was vetted, and both sides questioned the jury panel for a full day and informed the court that the jury panel was acceptable, ensuring due process was provided. Yeah, this is what I mean about them knowing from the start. This guy who supposedly snuck in, right? He put his correct birth date down on everything. Like, you know, he brought his ID. Like, the idea this guy was like sneaking around is just dumb. About the timing of Heard's team raising the concern now after the verdict, the judge said Heard knew or should have known about the mistake at any time during the 7-week pendency of this trial and had every opportunity to object on the issue. The party cannot wait until receiving the adverse verdict to object for the first time on an issue known since the beginning of trial. The issue has been waived. Well, there you go. Look, I think everybody knows that it was a bullshit argument. And again, like she's kind of like screwed over in many ways because I don't think that they're going to be appealing the verdict. I don't think she has the funds to do that. There were two other stories. I just wasn't like they weren't as interesting to me. There's this article I found saying that, you know, Amber Heard is like got all these people fighting over this book deal. And I'm like, I'm sure that they are, but this idea of her getting like millions of dollars to write this book seems kind of like there are going to be people that buy that book out of rage to rip it apart. And I don't think that that's a successful formula for selling a bunch of books, because in the days where things can just be posted online, I think you're going to get like maybe like 100 people that hate this woman's guts will buy that book and then post all the terrible things that they find about it online. And everyone else is just going to go online to talk shit about this book that they have no intention of reading. The Amber Heard fan base will definitely buy anything that has her name on it, but realistically, how many people is that? I mean, how many individuals do you think still support Amber Heard? And I'm not talking about like publicly support her, but like, you know, quietly support her. I doubt that you are in the tens of thousands of individuals at this point because of how thoroughly this one was decimated in the public eye. Again, based solely on her actions, but we'll see. The other story, which is a little bit funnier, is her insurance company is suing her, and they're suing her not for the fact that she's trying to get them to pay her her verdict against her. They're suing her because they're saying that she had no right to use the insurance for her defamation trial to pay for her attorneys, because they're saying that she clearly that she is guilty. Essentially, it's the funniest shit. But I think she's fucked no matter what happens. We'll see what happens next with her. I mean, I guess, but like, what more can she do? I remember I was watching I was watching Ricada talk about it, and it was like, you know, she can put out another book and then just be sued again, because the book is essentially just going to contain the same defamatory statements except it will be far more direct than it was in the Washington Post article, right? I mean, at this point, she lost the defamation suit trying to claim that she never referenced Johnny Depp's name. Well, now it's even more public. Now even more people know about it. So what? She's going to write a book in which she never says his name when that failed the first time, except now it's going to be an entire book. Yeah, good luck with that one, idiots.